Hey, what's up, guys? Tatiana the Noisy Human assignment is on Alma. If you go under assignments, it will be available there for download in PDF format. Hey, Janaya, how are you? Hey, Jada, how are you? We're going to leave about 3 minutes for people to just come in, as always, and then we will dive in. How have you guys all been doing? How's your week been? And how are you enjoying the book? A couple goods, I'm glad. Good, I'm glad. Just make sure you're being smart about it. Hey, what's up, Carlos? Now you're good. I'll send you more music later. It's an interesting book, right? We're going to discuss it and get into it a little bit further. And we're going to discuss some of the things that have shown up so far to see if you can see what they symbolize, a little bit of analysis of what's occurred, the themes thus far, because you guys have just finished part 1. We're going to be moving on to part 2, but I want to see what your level of understanding is thus far into the story. Okay? Once the rest of the class gets here, or once we hit 10:05, whoever's here, that's who we'll work with. But once that's going, we will dive into that information. We have not started part 2. I'm going to assign that to you today. So I'll give you all of that information today. Just wait about a minute or two. See if Miss F also joins the room. She said she was going to join. Hey, Creighton. I received an email from you yesterday, but it was blank. I just wanted to let you know. It was to the note I left on your one assignment of your notes, wondering if you had your alchemist stuff. So if you want, just send me another email later or reach out to me and we can talk. The best music I like and you'll listen to it? I will. I'll send you a diverse mix. Probably later today because I have a few things I have to do after class. All right. So we're going to leave 1 more minute. Awesome. For all of those who have yet to turn in their part one questions, the first 20 questions, make sure you get that into me as soon as possible. What we're going over today is going to be an overview of part one. So it may contain some spoilers, but nothing that's going to answer specific questions for those who haven't done part one, at least specific questions that are on the packet. So you should be able to still work on that and be a challenge for you. Okay. So it is 10:05. We're going to start rocking and rolling, and we'll see who joins as we go. Okay. So last week you were assigned part one of The Alchemist. It's thus far our introduction to Santiago, his experience, and a few other things that I would like for you guys to think about. So, active themes, right? A theme is something that we can say, oh, this is present. This is something that we can compare to something else that we can take away from. You know, what is the central idea, or what is the um, message to be taken away from the sequence of events that we have read so far? So the sequence of events would be part one of The Alchemist. What is the central idea that is trying to be conveyed in each of these sections? Does anybody have any idea of some of the thematic elements of the book so far? What are some themes? I'm going to put one out there for you. That way you can get an idea of what I'm looking for. All right. So, an active theme thus far into the story So one so far is what is meant to be, right? They want you to think and focus on this idea of what is meant to be. There are quite a few other ones. So for you guys, I gave you one. What's another one other than what is meant to be? What is another theme that's popped up? All right, it's mysterious. In what way? Explain why you think it's mysterious. Maybe you'll explain a thematic element. Anybody? All right, think about that for a second. 1 second. I'm getting a call from work. 1 second. Hello? Yes. Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I still haven't gotten any PT for it. I'm doing PT for my other injury, and I haven't heard anything in regards to what's going on. No, I've actually been having to go in person. Um, okay, okay, all right, not a problem. Mm, okay, um, okay, not a problem. Questions. I'm still receiving bills, and then just wondering. Same thing. When am I getting my money back from the one hospital? Because it's been a while. I already paid off that credit card because they were just charging me interest on top of interest on top of interest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you so much. You too. Bye. Sorry about that. Work called. All right. So let's see. So these things occurred, Carlos. All right. So I'm gonna help you out a little bit. Active thematic elements, right? Some lessons or some things that we want to be thinking of during this. What is meant to be, right? He's thinking of this every day. Like, am I supposed to be this priest, or are these dreams trying to tell me I should be something else? Another good one. I'm gonna write in blue just because I wrote these in black. So another good one. Another good thematic element that we'll discuss. Another one, chasing your personal legend, right? Santiago has this life that everyone wants for him so far. I'm gonna try to move this up a little bit for you guys so you can see. There you go. So, chasing your personal legend, he has this goal to see the world to be more than just this priest at the church that everyone views him going to. He wants to be more than that, right? We can identify that through his dreams, through his actions, through the way he speaks to others, right? He is questioning his place in his current reality. Is this what he wants forever? That is something he's thinking about. So, another active theme is should he chase his personal legend, right? What is meant to be? Is what he is living right now all that's meant for him? We don't know, right? And he doesn't know either, which is why he questions. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you another one. All right, write these down. Okay? If you are not writing these down, do so. That way, for part 2, if I ask for any active themes, you guys can be thinking what question or what lesson is trying to be taught to me in this act 2. What is the thought that they want me to have? Okay? So what is meant to be chasing your personal legend? Another one is how all things interconnect. So what do I mean by that? Sorry, this blue is really hard to see as well. I did not expect that. So how are all things able to interconnect? Where do we see this, right? So where can we see this idea of how all things interconnect or chasing your personal legend? I have an example I can provide if you want, but what do your minds think thus far? Where do you see these? Having an old man with him to find the treasure, even though he just wants one of 10 Santiago sheep. Hey, Janella, how are you? Where can you see these ideas present? If you want, I can change it to another color ink as well if it's hard to see. All right. Thank you for letting me know, Janella. So everybody else, no one has anything to say about any of these active themes. Nothing at all. You can't tell me anything that's happened to show maybe the idea of chasing your personal legend. You haven't seen anything like that? You definitely have. What about the question is, what is meant to be? All right, well, I'm going to point these out to you, and you guys are going to have light bulb moments. It'll make sense. All right, well, tell me, Tatiana. You've been silent. Let me know. What do you see? Where do you see the idea of chasing your personal legend? Or how all things interconnect? Or what is meant to be? Him and the old man, for which one? All of them? One of them? And explain. What do you mean by him and the old man? All right. So, you ready? We'll go over some of them. What has occurred? So, how all things interconnect, what is meant to be chasing your personal legend, right? We can see the chasing your personal legend because Santiago consistently questions his place in life, right? Should he become this priest or should he chase this dream of all of this treasure, traveling, etc.? That right there is where we get this chasing of your personal legend. Okay? He's trying to create his personal legend. He's identified that being a priest is not what he feels inside as what he specifically wants to do. That is what the rest of the community that knows him thinks he should do, right? So, this theme of chasing your personal legend is discovered and expressed when Santiago is having these dreams, having these moments where he's questioning his future, right? Pay attention to those things. If you can say, oh, he's doing this a lot in this section of the book, maybe that's a thematic element, okay? Pay attention to those things. Where is he trying to grow from? Or where is he trying to experience certain things, all right? Or how is he experiencing certain things? All of those questions that you could ask yourself may actually be part of the thematic elements being presented to you within that part of the story. Okay? What is meant to be? Same thing, right? He has these dreams telling him that he should travel and see the world, look for treasure, find this girl, etc., right? But to everyone else, they believe that why would you leave being a shepherd and not become this priest that, you know, everyone sees because everyone else in your family line has become this priest, right? They see this. So they just expect him to go with what the norm is, right? This would be his established norm. But Santiago is starting to question, is this established norm something that I want for myself? All right. How all of how all things interconnect. We can see this specifically when Santiago is traveling, right? He's thinking back to the conversations that he's had with his father. He's reflecting and he's having a positive experience. He's gone to the castle. He's met women. He's gotten a jacket, books, some sheep, right? And these are all parts of how he is living out this dream that he had. He's making this dream reality. Things are connecting, right? Those dots are connecting all back to his dream. Also, now that he's experiencing all of these things, he's feeling this connection, right? This ability to have found God. And he feels to himself that maybe he would not have found God in such a profound way if he would have gone to the seminary and become a priest. Maybe he would not have had that same personal connection that he's feeling. And now he wants to experience and discover new things, to feel new things, to make him feel alive, so that he feels he is chasing his dream every experience that he has, right? His experience has been a spiritual one. Even though he's going out and experiencing all of these things, he's having this spiritual awakening, right, within himself. He doesn't think that God just needs to be discovered in a traditional sense anymore. God can be discovered in many ways. In just living your dream, you can still experience God, right? When we think of this worldview, this breaking away from what's traditional in your approach to feel close to God, this is something that the author himself can reflect with. He himself experienced a spiritual awakening while he went through a pilgrimage walk in Spain. He experienced these things himself. This is a great reflection, maybe, upon um, Paulo himself, and giving you this an idea of how profound living life can be. Seizing that day, that carpe diem. Okay? That's what carpe diem means. If someone asks you what carpe diem means, it means seize the day. All right? It's a powerful, powerful Latin quote. Carpe diem. All right? If you think upon this idea of Paulo seizing the day, you can see how Santiago's character exemplifies this idea of seizing the day, not going with what has been set up for you, and really putting, your foot down and exploring the pathways that you can take if you allow yourself to truly experience, right? Another thematic element that we can see is the value of simplicity, right? I'm going to write this up here, and I'm going to write it in black. Value of All right, so we have this value of simplicity. What do you think I mean by that? A value of simplicity. A value of simplicity. What do you think that means? I'm interested to see what you guys think. All right. I've gotten some responses from Tatiana and Carlos. Those are the two people that I'm seeing homework from. All right. I need to see more connection with you guys. All right. I need to see you guys putting that effort out. Just because we're not in class doesn't mean that I don't enjoy seeing you guys dive into these books and get that connection. I'm very glad to see that some of you right away are doing the groundwork to make these connections. Jada, Carlos, Tatiana. I've even seen Angel doing some really good work. Um, I want to see that. When you guys are quiet in the chat, that lets me know that maybe you're reading, but you're not looking past the words. What can I learn from this? Yes, it's interesting, but what is this interesting thing that's trying to be expressed to me? Okay. I need you guys to focus and really apply yourself. Okay. When we talk about the value of simplicity, this thematic element is present after after Santiago has this dream and this experience, right? He starts watching his sheep as they graze, as he herds. That action of watching his sheep can be compared to just literally, does it mean being free from somebody? That is a thematic element. Finding this self freedom, yes, that's something good to pick out. But right now, when he's watching his sheep and just seeing them live, he's valuing the simplicity of things, right? He's seeing the value of life. He's just observing life in one of its simplest forms, and he's thinking, right? He's seeing that maybe sheep and people are focused on their basic needs and don't often think of the bigger picture. right? When we think of the sheep think, let's find some grass. Let's eat. Let's find a way to be comfortable living together, right? Appreciating the small things, that's a great connection, right? Because he has to see where he has value already in life and see where he would like to add further value, or he feels that maybe he needs to find a self valued point in life for himself, right? So this value of simplicity, he's viewing life in genuinely one of its simple forms, right? But what he also sees is how that simple life can be almost a crutch or almost blinding, right? These sheep, they think of their food, they think of grazing, mating, you know, all the normal things. They eat, poop, and reproduce. That's it. They don't think much outside of that. Whereas Santiago begins to think, what if they knew that they were being shepherded, right? They don't have this thought of, we need to follow this man. This just occurs, right? That's why a shepherd has to chase the sheep to keep them all together, right? The sheep don't think of it that way, though. They think, this is life. No sheep is asking itself, is there more to life, right? The sheep itself is comfortable in its place as it is, okay? And we know now Santiago, just like these sheep, is questioning, do I just go along with life as they tell me to, with the way I am comfortable? Or do I attack this feeling of wanting to do more and seize that day? Okay? There is there's a ton more, all right? I want to see what you guys remember thus far in the story. What has occurred overall in part one? What are some of the places he has seen? It's all good, DJ. Thank you for showing up. All right. All right. What's happened so far in the story? You guys have read part one. What has happened thus far from beginning to end of part one? You can give me a ton of detail, or you can just break it down in the simplest facts. What has happened? So he saw a crystal shop. What else? What else has happened? Who does he visit? He has a new job for shepherding. He visits someone. Who does he visit? He visits a person who gives him some insight. I'm going to leave it vague. Who does he visit? Is that a friend, right? That's not a friend. So pay attention to your wording, right? He had someone he was close to that stole his money. He thought that person was a friend, but that's deception, right? A friend doesn't steal. So we need to highlight that, right? But while he is experiencing life and he's going through these things, he comes across certain people that give him certain experiences. For example, he visits a fortune teller, right? What happens when he sees that fortune teller? when he meets that fortune teller, what happens? What does Santiago do when he visits the fortune teller? Anybody? All right. So since I see no responses, I'm just going to continue, right? So when he visits this person, right? He visits a fortune teller. This fortune teller, he visits her because he needs clarity, right? He goes to visit this fortune teller and asks for an interpretation of his dream, right? When he asks for this interpretation of his dream, he's expecting to receive certain information that should be profound, that should be some eye opening experience to give him insight and clarity on what he experienced in his sleep. But when he speaks to this fortune teller, he sees and he realizes that this fortune teller has not told him anything that he didn't already know. And he gets frustrated because he doesn't understand this dream. And he went to and questioned what he thought was bigger than him that he needed a professional for, and he already knows the answers. Him knowing these answers, right? This is what leads to both of these in action, right? He visits his fortune teller, and being told what he already knows, he starts to ask himself, is this meant to be? Is this dream something that's trying to guide me to something else in a bigger picture? Am I supposed to be this priest? Am I supposed to do more? Right? He and the old man together, right? They're drinking wine. The old man is asking Santiago about his book, and Santiago responds to him more so because he's old and feels he should respect the elderly, but not because of an interest in his book, right? He says it's important, but it's irritating, right? Santiago's finding it surprising that that old man knows how to read, and he's already read that book. But then when they're discussing this book, the old man tells him something that kind of shakes Santiago, right? The old man says that that book says the same thing as almost all other books in the world. So he has a moment where I'm going to put a word down and I will uh, explain it to you after I do so. All right. He in these scenes, Paulo Coelho is taking a. I'll write it right here. That's fine. What has occurred? A lot of existential thinking. What's it mean to have existential thinking? You're thinking about literally me, this person. What is my reason to exist, right? We have this word here. When you think of existentialism, think of the word exist, right? So when you think of existential thinking, it's a type of thinking that emphasizes I'm sorry if my handwriting is bad on this side of the board. Being left-handed can be tough. So it is when someone emphasizes or someone is thinking a ton on their free will, their life, their ability to grow. All right. I'm sorry if this all blends in. I will erase symbols and rewrite that in a different color. So emphasizes the individual as a free and responsible agent in their own life. Okay. When I say agent in their own life, I will also write and development. All right. Existentialism is the belief that you really have to apply yourself to grow, to experience. No one can do it but you. What is my purpose in this world? I don't know. It's my job to think about it, right? This is a lot of what Santiago is going through. He's going through existential thought. Each experience is an existential moment for him, right? Do I have a way to help with headaches? Depends on the type of headache. If it's a migraine, darkness, and a ton of sleep, a muscle relaxer, but I wouldn't recommend those unless your doctor is giving them to you. So, sleep and darkness if you have a headache, that's more like a migraine. And if you have an actual type of just regular headache, depending on the part of the brain that's hurting, in the front, if it's in the front, you're dehydrated. If it's at the top, it could be just like high pressure. So at that point, maybe lower your salt intake, drink a lot more fluids, relax, let your blood flow calm down, etc. There's a few different things that you could do. Tylenol, Motrin, those are really good. Just make sure you eat before you take one of those because Motrin can eat up the stomach lining and give you really bad stomach aches. All right. So what has occurred? A ton of existential thinking. And then another thing here, I'm also going to write a personal discovery journey. All right. Think back to ninth grade when we did our hero's journey story. Santiago is living this in action, right? He himself is trying to see what is my character? What is my life going to be? What is it going to amount to? And It's pretty cool to see that in action because you're seeing your average man try to build a life for himself that goes against everything that was already set up for him. He is literally taking action and approaching his life the way he believes it should be lived. Okay? So, as they go on, he meets a king. He talks about a sheep. I'm not going to give a bunch of information, okay? He meets a merchant. Um, the reason why I'm not going to give away the specifics is because I still have yet to receive a lot of the homework, um, and that's important, okay? And then, lastly, before we go, what are some of the symbols that we have seen thus far in the story? Some symbolism, and what do they symbolize? What things do you think symbolize other things thus far? Our symbolism. What's something in the story that you could say symbolizes something important? What do you guys think? Anything? No symbolisms, guys? I said, what are some symbolisms that have occurred thus far? What things have popped up in the story that might actually symbolize something else other than what they actually are if we look deeper? Is correct. Think about it. All right. So, this is going to be a teaching moment, a learning moment for you guys. All right. So, what is something with symbolism in the story? I'm going to give you two things so far. All right. That way, I don't spoil a lot of it for you, and you can do some of the searching yourself. All right. I want you guys to pay attention to these things for next class. All right. I want you to be able to pick these things out for yourself. Symbolism. All right. One thing I will add for symbolism: sheep. What do you think the sheep can symbolize? After this, we'll wrap up and I will give you your assignment for this coming week. Symbolize simplicity. What else? What else could they symbolize? Good job, Sam. Good thought. What else? There's a little bit more. The sheep, not a legend. All right. So, those sheep, right? There's a few things we can say they can symbolize, right? So, Sam touched upon it a little bit, right? Simplicity. Those sheep could be everyone, right? The masses. Choosing to be led across a simple life by someone bigger than them to live peacefully. That thought of, if I do what other people tell me to do, I will live a good life, right? The sheep exemplify that perfectly because they live a life where someone's going to lead me to food. And as long as I stick with this person who is leading me, I'll live a good life, right? Simple enough. They'll be fed every day, they'll be safe from wolves, etc. But what they don't realize is while living as a sheep, they aren't living for themselves. They're not living a true experience. Why? Because their life is literally being guided for them. Santiago is a shepherd, right? He tries to sell his sheep, and he reflects from the standpoint of a shepherd. Many of his lessons that he's discovered are because at this time in his life, he is a shepherd. He has this humbleness from the simplicity of his life, right? So these sheep are also able to exemplify something called self actualization, right? What does it mean to be self actualized? Being able to understand this is who I am, this is me, and these are all the things that come with me, right? So a sheep can exemplify this thought of self actualization because they understand that maybe this is the best it will be for them. Maybe this is their dream life, right? Where now Santiago is questioning, where do I lead myself to live this dream life, this life of comfort, of true happiness, of security, but in my way? Okay? Your homework. So I'm going to rotate. Your homework. I know part 2 is pretty big. All right? Your homework under the part 2 section is going to be to read pages for the question section 51 to page 79. All right? That should be enough for you guys right now for just 1 week. That means for this week, I want you guys to answer questions 21 through 25. Questions 21 through 25 due. Today is Thursday. Ideally in 1 week, so that'll be 5/12. Okay? So read pages 51 through 79. Questions 21 through 25 are due from those pages. If you have not done your short reading packet, that is due. Okay? Go through and find that. It's on Alma for you to download the PDF. You can answer the questions right then and there. Okay? Get that done. Do your reading. All right? I gave you 28 pages in a week. No, Thursday. This is Thursday. It's our Thursday class. So it is due before next Thursday. Okay? Then you're going to get a bigger section next time. All right? Feel free to send me pictures. You can send me pictures. You can do a Google Doc, whatever works for you. You can fill out the actual worksheet and take a picture of it. You can write it on a separate sheet of paper. You can type it up. Doesn't matter. As long as the question is exactly stated the way it is and you don't change it and you answer all the questions, I'm okay with that. All right? Be safe. Love you guys. Care about you a bunch. I hope you guys are safe, doing well, finding new things about yourself that you love, and are growing as an individual. This is, definitely a tough time, but the way you think about it and the way you live it is the way you will experience it. So if you have a positive mindset, you will be able to make this experience a positive experience. Creighton, if you need to contact me, if you look in the packet of information that Mr. Andy gave to you, a phone number is there for me. All right. Some people have been texting me regularly to get answers to their homework or answers to questions that they may have, or even to ask, like, Mr. C, could you suggest something like that? If you find that phone number, you can text me. If it's a homework question, you can call me. If you call me, just make sure it's after about 2 o'clock. That way I can wrap up all of my classes and then give you all my attention. Also, guys, I know you guys are doing stuff at all times of the day. Please just limit your phone calls before it's super crazy late. I understand you guys have your own schedules, but Mr. C has a schedule as well. All right. I love you guys. Be safe. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys as soon as possible, be it next year or sooner. All right. Be safe. Take care. And I'll talk to you on Monday.